Okay, so this is actually a talk, I should stand in front of the microphone, about when I first learned about innovation and disruptive innovation 30 years ago as an undergraduate in music at a school called Ohio University. I studied the French horn, obviously. I don't play it anymore because I sucked at the French horn. But I did have a fabulous mullet, which you probably didn't see in that first picture, but I was going for more the Rob Lowe, St. Elmo's Fire look, which was pretty good at the time, versus the Joe Dirt look. Business in front, party in the back, real innovation, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about musical innovation and the stream of innovations that kind of define music. Musical innovation covers a lot of different areas. It covers acoustics, it covers theory, it covers these instruments down here if you can see them. Those were designed by Adolphus Sax, and they kind of look like instruments that bred together that shouldn't have bred together, but he kind of created those kind of things. And those innovations became inventories of sound that writers and listeners would identify as being cool. And those sounds were covered in a variety of different eras, and they're identified by different theorists, Monteverdi, the two Bach brothers over there. And that was what music was to people. And in those inventories of sound, people created and innovated. It's much the same way if there's coders in the room. You have an inventory of code in which you can create cool things. And that's what musicians did. But from time to time, a musician would create something totally new that blew everybody away. And that was my first lesson in disruptive innovation. And the lesson came from a professor of mine. And the first person he talked about was Mozart. Everybody knows Mozart, right? Very innovative. And in 1780, he was sick. He was actually dying. And during that time, he wrote 3 great symphonies. And one of those great symphonies was the G minor symphony. And everybody here knows it. That's how great it is. And I want you to sing it with me, okay? Are you ready? It goes like this. Da-da-dun, 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 dun. Everybody. Da-da-dun, 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 dun. Nice. Da-da-dun, 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 dun. Really good. Hey, you do that. Thank you. That was a great symphony and a hallmark in the classical period, that sound inventory known as the classical period. About 20 years later or so, this guy came on the scene. And he was going through a bad time too. He was going deaf, Beethoven, as everybody knows. And during that period, somewhere around 1802 to 1810, he created some of his greatest works ever. And one of the most memorable is this symphony. And everybody knows that. So we're going to sing it again. Ready? Da-da-da-da! Wow. Da-da-da-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da! We can't sing the whole thing, so I've got 15 seconds to slide. Okay, so this is the lesson. I'm sitting in class, me and my mullet, and one of my professors, a guy named Richard Wetzel, plays those 2 pieces for us. And he says, okay, so what is the difference between those 2 things? And I figured, God, I missed some sort of lesson, and I'm thinking things. But it's actually simple. You can sing the Mozart symphony. It's a melody. Da-da-dun, 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 dun. But you can't sing the Beethoven symphony. It's not a melody. Now, that doesn't make Mozart not an innovator. He was very innovative. But as an innovator, he's kind of like Apple, kind of like my iPhone. They didn't make the touchscreen, they didn't make GPS or Wi-Fi. They just put it together in a really cool, awesome way. And that's what Mozart did. But Beethoven changed the world. He introduced a whole entire new pitch inventory or sound inventory. You didn't need a melody anymore. And if you don't need a melody, it opens up all sorts of opportunities. You can rap without a melody. So this is where my talk got screwed up, because I gave the title before I did, and I was going to say some sort of great thing where disruptive innovation came from. But I really don't know. I can talk about their backgrounds. They were both raised around musicians. They both traveled a lot. They heard a lot of different things. But that doesn't make what disruptive innovation happens. Even the disruptive innovators get disruptive innovation wrong. Steve Jobs here on the big phones. VCs, the punters of innovation. Most of them don't make money on the things that they invest in. They make money on the fees, the funds that they raise. So if they don't know where disruptive innovation comes from, I'm not sure if I can tell you where disruptive innovation comes from. It kind of screws up my talk. This is a TED Talk. This would be the shittiest TED Talk ever. But I can tell you that disruptive innovation happens. In a CGI world, I would have never guessed that 500,000 people would come out to see that analog girl. But I did, and I actually cried when I saw her. It's kind of embarrassing to tell you that. That's the thing about innovation. It's a creative process. And it's creative and creative and creative and creative. And unpredictably, but inevitably, one of those great creations will become the greatest symphony in the world. That's my talk. Thank you.